for South West Coast.
Thank you, Acting Speaker, and I rise to speak on the Assisted Reproductive Treatment Amendment Bill 2021. And the purpose of this bill is to implement 10 of the recommendations made by the Gorton Review 2018. Before I speak to the bill, I want to acknowledge the contribution just made by the Minister for Women, a very personal and heartfelt contribution, which I think really does highlight why this bill is so very important. The effort and the challenges and the heartbreak that sometimes goes on when you're trying to begin a family is something that I don't think we can not understand with our absolute sympathy. And I, personally feel that this bill does actually go a long way to giving people the chance to have a family, which is something I've held very, very dear. And if we can work together in these bipartisan ways to create happiness with people in a form of creating a family, I think there can be no greater challenge that we've met. So I just want to acknowledge your contribution. So this bill, as I started to say, because I wanted to say that before Minister left the House, implements the 10 of the recommendations made by the Gorton Review in 2018. It aims to make artificial insemination more accessible. And I think we can see why that's so important without actually having to say too much, hopefully. But Michael Gorton AM undertook a 12-month review of the Victorian Assisted Reproductive Treatment Framework and recommended broadly the focus on improving quality, safety and support in assisted reproductive treatment, improving the patient experience, improving access to and the affordability of public fertility services, and repositioning the regulator to better deal with the contemporary risks in the sector. So given the scale and complexity of the review, this is actually the third bill in 2 years to come before the House to amend the Assisted Reproductive Treatment Act. And like the member for Lowen put forward in her very detailed contribution as the lead speaker, there are some concerns, and I note that her contribution in a very detailed manner put forward very constructively and very considered some points that we hope that the Minister will look at, and I'm absolutely sure she will. And I noted the member for Lowen passed her notes so that she could take that and look at it. So by the time it goes through the upper house, these concerns that the industry and the consultations we've all had have put to us can be considered, so we can only see improvement. Victoria has always been at the forefront of reproductive treatments, and it's quite sort of surprising when you look back that it's only in the 70s and 80s that we did so much work, not that long ago, and that the first IVF baby was born in 1980. In my world, it doesn't feel like very long ago. But thousands of Victorian families have been helped through assisted reproductive treatments. In the regions, it's been particularly difficult. So where we can make this service available and affordable to the regions and country areas like South West Coast, I think that's something we should be doing. Technology through my nursing years just went ahead in leaps and bounds. If I sat here and told you about how I used to do a dressing on someone who'd had a cholecystectomy, you'd actually probably all pretty much faint. Nowadays, you actually go in and you're out the next day, and there's no sump drains and tubes that you have to give 100 milligrams of pethidine before you twist and raise. And anyway, I won't go on because it's pretty horrific. When we look at what we've done for people and the technology, so this sort of technology should be available. And there's, like I said, when the Minister was in the House, there's nothing more precious than being able to assist a family to become a family. And being a family is one of the most challenging things also. So, when I look at what's going on with the pandemic, and in my office at the moment, the families that are calling me really exploding under the pressure of homeschooling, So I really want to give a shout out to all families out there who I know are really struggling. Families who are running small businesses, families who are trying to manage homeschool whilst they're losing their jobs and, really struggling because there's just not enough support. And we've just got to do a lot more to encourage our community to get vaccinated and get back to school. But, what we need is the government to give us a plan, and that's what we've been respectfully asking for and genuinely want, just like I think we've been saying for some weeks now. So I think the reason this bill is also very good is because we do take this service into the public health sector. We make it more available in the country. I'd like to actually shout out to our local gynaecologist and obstetrician, Dr. Anne Pettigrew, who then went up to Mildura and has worked right across the regions, actually being able to give families access to this service for many years now. And Dr. Anne Pettigrew was a doctor in Warrnambool when I was training in the mid-80s and delivered, I think, from memory, one of my kids. I've got so many I can't remember who delivered which one, but I'm pretty sure Anne delivered one. And it's people like him who have paved the way, and we're very, very fortunate in South West Coast to have so many specialists. And it's the health services that we have, like South West Healthcare, who are doing a spectacular job in our community, providing services, encouraging specialists, because that's a real issue, retention and attraction of specialists right across through to Portland Hospital, that does a fantastic job under extraordinary circumstances, because they're a hospital that don't have the population that you can put a lot of procedures through quickly and sit comfortably under a model that suits a hospital such as the Royal Melbourne Hospital, for example. So they're under extreme pressures all the time, and they've got big industries like the port and the aluminium smelter. So they do need really good services, such as accident emergency, so they can actually, treat people properly and be able to transfer them effectively and efficiently and cost effectively to larger services, such as straight down to the Melbourne facilities where we need when you've got big cases. So a big shout out to both Portland Health and South West Healthcare and all the smaller healthcare services such as Port Fairy and Hayward, who do an extraordinary job. Right now our health profession is under enormous pressure. I am actually quite disappointed that the government are not ready for the pandemic that we've had 18 months to prepare for. I really do think we should be working together. That's something I've said in the chamber here for the last 18 months. I admired the fact that all the governments across the states and the federal government came together under the National Cabinet framework. I'm disappointed when I see we don't stick to those agreements and we come back to the state as the Premier has done and gone on his own way, and unfortunately that's not always worked out well. In fact, with a hotel quarantine, I think that worked out disastrously. But right now we have the opportunity to really pull together, put plans in place, work united as a team and stop the lockdowns. Let's just get on with helping families like this bill is aimed at achieving, and give those families the support they need, because right now, and I know the members on the other side must be having the same experience as me, that families are ringing my office absolutely beside themselves, exploding in those households with children needing to get back to school, families who can't see where the future lies from being able to support themselves, businesses that cannot make sense. Just this week I had businesses such as the hospitality providers. One fellow had a venue that had capacity for 850 people, and he was only allowed to have 10 in that venue. And these people are saying, just give us a plan, give us some hope, give us some way forward. We've had enough of no information. So on that note, I will commend the bill to the House. We will not be opposing. We support the bill. No, we don't support the bill. we don't oppose the bill, and because of the amendment, because of the opportunity to do some improvements that we've passed across. So And that's it. Extensive questions that the member for Lowan has put forward, but we hope that those opportunities will be taken up by the government before it gets to the upper house.